There's a narrative in society that suggests a woman living alone without a boyfriend is somehow incomplete, that her independence is a temporary state, a waiting period before she finds someone to fill that supposed void. But that's a flawed and dangerous way of thinking. A woman living alone isn't a symbol of loneliness. She's a symbol of strength, self-sufficiency, and personal growth. Today, I want to explore 8 key insights that shed light on why a woman who lives alone without a boyfriend is not just surviving, but thriving. Independence is often misunderstood. Many people associate it with loneliness, struggle, or even selfishness. But in reality, independence is one of the greatest strengths a person can cultivate. A woman who lives alone without a boyfriend experiences a level of personal growth that many never achieve because they are too reliant on external support. Living alone means that every decision, every responsibility, and every challenge falls on your shoulders. There is no one to share the weight of daily tasks, no one to take over when things get tough. And yet, in this very experience, strength is forged. When you live alone, you learn self-sufficiency in a way that is impossible to replicate in a shared environment. Consider something as simple as managing a household. If you live with a partner, responsibilities are naturally divided. One person might handle the bills while the other takes care of maintenance. But when you live alone, you have to master it all. You learn to budget effectively, to plan for unexpected expenses, and to develop the discipline required to stay on top of financial obligations. Studies show that women who manage their own finances develop higher levels of financial literacy and confidence, which serves them for a lifetime. Then there's the aspect of problem solving. When something breaks, you fix it. If the sink starts leaking, you either learn how to repair it or find a professional to help. You develop resourcefulness because there's no one else to delegate the issue to, and this extends far beyond household maintenance. It seeps into every area of life. You become someone who doesn't panic in the face of adversity, but instead looks for solutions. Psychologists suggest that people who are more independent tend to have higher self-esteem. They trust themselves because they have a proven track record of handling life's challenges. They don't second-guess their decisions or rely on external validation to feel secure. This is a profound shift in mindset, one that sets the foundation for a fulfilling, self-sufficient life. But perhaps the most overlooked benefit of independence is the freedom it grants. Many people in relationships find themselves making compromises, sometimes small, sometimes life-altering. They adjust their schedules, their goals, and even their identities to fit within the framework of a partnership. But a woman who lives alone does not have to compromise her dreams, her ambitions, or her time. She can travel when she wants, pursue career opportunities without hesitation, and build a life that is entirely her own. Take the example of a woman who wants to move to a new city for a better job. If she is in a relationship, she has to consider how this move will affect her partner, whether he is willing to relocate or if she should stay behind for the sake of stability. But a woman who lives alone makes decisions based on her own best interests. She does not have to negotiate her future with anyone. She is in control of her own path. This is not to say that relationships are inherently restrictive, but the reality is that many people make decisions based on their relationships rather than their individual goals. A woman who has cultivated independence understands that her life is her own, and she embraces the power that comes with that realization. Many people fear being alone because they confuse it with loneliness. But solitude is not about isolation. It is about deep self-discovery. When you live alone, you create the space to truly understand yourself in a way that is often impossible when you are constantly surrounded by others. Think about how much of our identity is shaped by external influences. From childhood, we are conditioned by family expectations, societal norms, and the opinions of those around us. Even in relationships, people often absorb their partner's preferences, habits, and worldview without realizing it. But when you live alone, there is no external force subtly shaping your identity. You are free to explore who you are without interference. One of the most significant benefits of solitude is the ability to develop a strong sense of self. Without the constant presence of a boyfriend or a partner, a woman learns what truly makes her happy. She discovers her passions, her interests, and her values. She does not have to compromise her preferences to align with someone else's. She can fully embrace them. For example, imagine a woman who has always wanted to learn to play the guitar, but in past relationships, her time and energy were often redirected toward activities that suited her partner's interests. Now, living alone, she has the freedom to dedicate time to her personal growth without guilt. She can dive into creative pursuits, take up hobbies she never had time for, and build a life that reflects her authentic self. Solitude also creates the space for reflection. In the constant noise of social interactions, it can be difficult to process emotions, make sense of experiences, or gain clarity on life's direction. But when you live alone, you have the opportunity to sit with your thoughts, to analyze your choices, and to understand your emotions on a deeper level. Many of history's greatest thinkers, artists, and leaders have credited solitude as a key factor in their success. Virginia Woolf, in her famous essay, A Room of One's Own, argued that women need space, both literal and figurative, to develop their full potential. Similarly, psychologists emphasize that solitude is essential for creativity and mental well-being. Another important aspect of solitude is emotional independence. Many people enter relationships seeking validation, support, or a sense of identity. But when you live alone, you learn that your worth is not dependent on external affirmation. You develop the ability to comfort yourself, to find joy in your own company, and to cultivate self-love without needing someone else to provide it. Consider the difference between someone who jumps from relationship to relationship out of fear of being alone and someone who has spent time in solitude understanding their needs and desires. The latter enters relationships from a place of confidence rather than desperation. They are not looking for someone to complete them. They are already whole. Living alone allows a woman to design her life with intention. She is not swept up in the expectations of a relationship, but rather, she builds a life that is entirely her own. And this foundation of self-awareness, emotional strength, and independence ensures that when she does choose to invite someone into her life, it is from a place of strength, not necessity. One of the most profound transformations that happen when a woman lives alone is the development of emotional resilience. Without a partner to provide immediate comfort or reassurance, she learns how to manage her emotions independently. This is not a weakness, it is an immense strength. Many people unknowingly depend on their partners for emotional regulation. When they are stressed, they seek comfort externally. When they are uncertain, they rely on someone else's guidance. But a woman who lives alone must develop the ability to manage her emotions on her own. She becomes her own source of strength. Let's consider a real-life scenario. Imagine a woman who has had a difficult day at work. If she were in a relationship, she might come home and vent to her partner, seeking validation and comfort. While this is natural, it can create a dependency where she relies on someone else to ease her burdens. But when she lives alone, she must find ways to self-soothe, perhaps by journaling, exercising, meditating, or engaging in creative outlets. Over time, she realizes that she is fully capable of handling emotional ups and downs without needing external validation. Research in psychology has shown that emotional resilience is strongly correlated with self-reliance. People who learn to process their emotions independently develop greater self-confidence and inner peace. They become less reactive to external circumstances because they trust their ability to navigate difficult situations. Another aspect of emotional resilience is decision-making. When you live alone, there is no one to share the responsibility of big choices. This means that you have to develop confidence in your ability to make decisions and stand by them. Many women in relationships struggle with decision-making because they are accustomed to deferring to their partners. But a woman who lives alone sharpens this skill daily, choosing everything from financial investments to career changes without second-guessing herself. In history, some of the most influential women have lived alone for significant periods, using that time to strengthen their emotional resilience. Oprah Winfrey, for instance, spent years developing her career without the safety net of a relationship. She has often spoken about the power of solitude in helping her build emotional strength and clarity of purpose. Moreover, emotional resilience creates a higher threshold for stress. When you have faced loneliness, uncertainty, and personal struggles on your own, you develop an unshakable core. You no longer fear being alone because you have already mastered it. This means that when life presents challenges, whether in relationships, work, or personal endeavors, you face them with confidence rather than fear. Living alone requires mastering an array of practical skills that many people never develop fully. From managing finances to home maintenance, a woman who lives alone becomes incredibly competent in areas that others often delegate to a partner. This self-sufficiency is a form of empowerment. It ensures that she is never reliant on anyone else for survival. Let's take financial independence as an example. Many women in relationships unconsciously lean on their partners for financial security. They may not handle the budgeting, the investments, or the long-term planning. But when you live alone, you have no choice but to take full ownership of your financial future. Consider the story of a woman who moves into her own apartment for the first time. She quickly learns the importance of budgeting, understanding rent, utilities, insurance, and savings. She becomes disciplined in tracking her expenses, setting financial goals, and making informed decisions about her future. Over time, this financial literacy empowers her to build wealth, invest wisely, and create long-term security for herself. Beyond finances, self-sufficiency also means developing problem-solving skills. When something goes wrong, whether it's a plumbing issue, a car breakdown, or a household repair, she learns to handle it. Instead of waiting for someone else to step in, she researches solutions, calls professionals, or even learns how to fix the problem herself. One of the most inspiring examples of self-sufficient women comes from history. Marie Curie, the pioneering scientist, managed not only her career, but also her personal life independently. She had to navigate a male-dominated field without the support systems many of her male counterparts had. Her story is a testament to what a woman can achieve when she is fully in charge of her own life. Beyond practical skills, self-sufficiency also extends to personal health and well-being. When you live alone, you take full responsibility for your nutrition, exercise, and mental health. There is no one to remind you to eat healthy, no one to push you to work out. You must develop the discipline to care for yourself. Studies have shown that people who live alone often adopt healthier habits because they have full control over their environment and routines. Moreover, mastering self-sufficiency leads to a deep sense of pride and confidence. There is something incredibly rewarding about knowing that you can handle life on your own terms. It eliminates the fear of dependence and allows you to enter relationships from a place of strength rather than need. Ultimately, a woman who has mastered self-sufficiency does not see life as something that happens to her. She sees it as something she actively shapes. She is not waiting for someone to rescue her, to make decisions for her, or to guide her path. She is fully in control, and that is a powerful position to be in. One of the most transformative aspects of living alone is the way it shapes a woman's confidence and self-worth. Confidence is not something you simply acquire. It is something you build day by day through experiences that challenge and stretch your capabilities. And few things test and strengthen a person more than being fully responsible for themselves. Living alone means that every success and every failure falls directly on your shoulders. There is no one else to share the responsibility, no one to blame, and no one to lean on when things get difficult. This level of responsibility forces growth. When a woman navigates life independently, she learns to trust herself. She realizes that she is capable of making good decisions, solving problems, and overcoming obstacles on her own. This, in turn, creates an unshakable sense of confidence. Imagine a woman who has just moved into her first apartment alone. At first, she might feel overwhelmed, learning how to set up utilities, manage rent payments, cook meals for herself, and fix minor household issues. But as time passes, she realizes that she can handle it. The sense of pride she gains from managing her own life, without needing validation from anyone else, builds confidence that extends into every area of her existence. Psychological studies have shown that self-efficacy, the belief in one's ability to succeed, is one of the strongest predictors of confidence. And self-efficacy is built through direct experience. When you constantly prove to yourself that you can handle life's challenges, your confidence becomes rooted in reality rather than external validation. Beyond practical competence, living alone also gives a woman the space to develop her self-worth. In relationships, many people tie their self-esteem to how they are treated by their partners. If their partner is loving and attentive, they feel good about themselves. If their partner withdraws, they feel unworthy. But a woman who lives alone learns that her value is not dependent on someone else's approval. Think about the difference between a woman who constantly seeks reassurance from her boyfriend and a woman who has spent years living independently. The former might feel insecure when she doesn't receive constant validation, while the latter stands firm in her self-worth because she has built it from within. Take Oprah Winfrey as an example. She has often spoken about the importance of self-discovery and building confidence through independence. Before she became one of the most influential women in the world, she spent years working on herself, embracing solitude and developing a deep sense of self-worth that was not dependent on relationships. Living alone allows a woman to do the same, to become so secure in herself that she no longer feels the need to prove her worth to anyone. She doesn't settle for relationships that diminish her because she knows her value. She doesn't fear rejection because she is already whole. And that level of confidence is magnetic. It attracts people who respect and admire her strength. One of the most underrated advantages of living alone is the ability to design a life that is completely authentic. In relationships, compromise is inevitable. You adjust your schedule, your goals, and even your daily habits to accommodate another person. But when you live alone, your life is entirely your own. You are free to build it exactly as you want. Think about how many people make life choices based on their relationships rather than their true desires. A woman might choose a career that aligns with her partner's job, move to a city she doesn't love for the sake of a relationship, or even adopt hobbies that she doesn't truly enjoy just to stay connected to her partner. But a woman who lives alone does not have to make these compromises. She can pursue the career she wants, live where she feels happiest, and shape her lifestyle according to her own passions. For example, consider a woman who dreams of traveling the world. If she were in a relationship, she might have to negotiate her travel plans considering her partner's schedule, preferences, and comfort level. But living alone allows her the freedom to book a one-way ticket to a foreign country without asking for permission. She can immerse herself in new cultures, expand her perspective, and live on her own terms. Another example is career ambition. Many women subconsciously hold themselves back in their careers because they worry about how it will affect their relationships. They hesitate to take promotions that require relocation. They avoid jobs with demanding schedules, or they downplay their ambitions to avoid intimidating their partners. But a woman who lives alone has no such limitations. She can chase her dreams without compromise, fully embracing the opportunities that come her way. Beyond career and travel, personal growth is another area where freedom plays a major role. When you live alone, you have the time and space to invest in yourself. You can dedicate your evenings to learning new skills, reading books, or engaging in deep self-reflection. You can establish routines that align with your goals rather than adapting to someone else's habits. Research shows that people who live alone often develop stronger identities because they have the space to explore their interests without external pressure. They are more likely to engage in creative pursuits, prioritize personal development, and cultivate a sense of purpose that is uniquely their own. Consider the story of J.K. Rowling. Before she became a world-renowned author, she was a single mother living alone, struggling to make ends meet. But it was in her solitude that she found the creative freedom to write Harry Potter, a book series that would change her life forever. Without the constraints of a relationship dictating her time and energy, she was able to fully commit to her craft. Living alone also allows for a level of spontaneity that is difficult to achieve in relationships. If a woman decides she wants to take up a new hobby, change careers, or even move to a different city, she can do so without needing to negotiate with a partner. This ability to make choices purely based on personal desires fosters a deep sense of fulfillment. At its core, the freedom of living alone is not just about avoiding compromise. It is about creating a life that is deeply aligned with your true self. It is about waking up each day and knowing that every decision you make is your own. It is about building a future that excites you rather than one that is shaped by obligation or societal expectations. And perhaps most importantly, it is about realizing that you do not need a relationship to feel complete. You are already whole. You are already enough. And that realization changes everything. One of the most profound transformations that occur when a woman lives alone is her ability to develop and enforce strong personal boundaries. Boundaries are not just about saying no to things that make you uncomfortable. They are about defining what you will and will not tolerate in every area of your life. And nothing sharpens this skill quite like living alone. When a woman shares her space with a partner, she often finds herself making compromises, sometimes in ways that erode her sense of self. She adjusts her routines, her preferences, and even her emotions to accommodate someone else. This is not necessarily bad, but it can become a problem when she loses sight of her own needs in the process. Living alone forces a woman to confront the reality of what she truly values. She learns what kind of environment makes her feel at peace, what habits are essential to her well-being, and what behaviors she simply will not accept from others. In this solitude, she cultivates an unshakable sense of self-respect. Let's take the example of a woman who has always struggled with people-pleasing. In past relationships, she found herself agreeing to plans she didn't want, tolerating disrespect, or sacrificing her own comfort just to keep the peace. But when she starts living alone, she experiences the profound realization that her space, both physically and emotionally, is hers to protect. She doesn't have to justify her choices. She can sit in silence if she wants, sleep in when she needs, and live exactly as she pleases without fear of judgment or guilt. This clarity extends beyond her personal space and into her relationships with others. She begins to recognize when people overstep her boundaries, and because she has spent so much time enforcing them in her own life, she becomes more comfortable setting them with others. This means she no longer entertains relationships that drain her, tolerate toxic behaviors, or allow people to manipulate her emotions. Psychologists have found that people with strong boundaries tend to have healthier relationships and greater self-esteem. Why? Because they operate from a place of self-worth. They do not need validation from others, nor do they fear losing relationships that do not serve them. Consider a woman who has lived alone for years. When she eventually enters a romantic relationship, she does not feel compelled to settle for anything less than what she deserves. She has no fear of being alone because she has already mastered it. This gives her the power to choose a partner based on compatibility and respect rather than desperation or societal pressure. An example of this principle in action is seen in many successful women who have built strong careers and personal lives before entering long-term relationships. Michelle Obama, for instance, has spoken about the importance of knowing oneself and establishing firm boundaries before committing to a partner. She emphasizes that a strong sense of self is crucial for maintaining a healthy, balanced relationship. A woman who lives alone learns this firsthand. She does not accept half-hearted love, lukewarm commitment, or friendships that drain her. She walks through life with an unshakable sense of her worth, and that is a powerful thing, perhaps. One of the greatest gifts of living alone is the opportunity to cultivate a deep, rich inner life. When a woman is not constantly surrounded by external noise, whether from a partner, family, or friends, she is given the rare chance to truly know herself. Many people go through life avoiding solitude because they fear what they might find. They fill their schedules with social events, distractions, and relationships that keep them from sitting alone with their thoughts. But a woman who lives alone learns to embrace solitude. And in that solitude, she discovers something remarkable, herself. She learns what truly brings her joy, not what society tells her should make her happy, not what her friends or family expect of her, but what genuinely fills her soul. She might rediscover a childhood passion for painting, writing, or music. She might develop a deep love for nature, meditation, or personal growth. She might find herself drawn to philosophical ideas, spirituality, or creative pursuits that she never had time to explore in the past. This cultivation of an inner life makes her stronger, more resilient, and more content. She no longer feels the need to constantly seek external validation because she has found fulfillment within. She is not dependent on a relationship to feel happy. She has built a life that is already rich with meaning. And interestingly, this ability to be deeply content alone actually improves the quality of her relationships. When a woman does not need others to fill a void within her, she engages with people from a place of wholeness rather than lack. She attracts friendships and romantic connections that are based on mutual respect and genuine compatibility rather than neediness or dependency. Consider the story of Jane Austen. Although she never married, she lived a life filled with intellectual curiosity, deep friendships, and creative fulfillment. She used her solitude to write some of the most beloved novels of all time, books that explored love, independence, and the complexities of human relationships. Her rich inner life allowed her to leave a lasting legacy, proving that a woman's worth is not defined by her relationship status, but by the depth of her mind and spirit. Another key aspect of cultivating a meaningful life while living alone is the ability to form deep, intentional connections. Contrary to the stereotype that living alone means being lonely, many women find that it actually strengthens their relationships. Why? Because they become more selective. They do not waste time on shallow friendships or meaningless interactions. Instead, they seek out people who truly align with their values, interests, and goals. They prioritize quality over quantity, forming bonds that are based on authenticity rather than convenience. For example, a woman who has lived alone for years might have a handful of close friends rather than a large social circle. But those friendships are deeply fulfilling because they are built on mutual respect, shared values, and genuine care. Moreover, solitude often leads to a deeper appreciation for the people who truly matter. When you spend time alone, you develop a greater awareness of who enriches your life and who drains it. This means you invest more intentionally in the relationships that bring you joy while gracefully letting go of those that do not. There is also a spiritual dimension to this. Many of the world's greatest thinkers, artists, and leaders have spoken about the power of solitude in fostering wisdom and insight. From religious figures like Mother Teresa to modern-day visionaries, solitude has often been a catalyst for profound personal growth. Ultimately, a woman who lives alone is not missing out. She is discovering, she is building a life that is uniquely hers, filled with meaning, purpose, and deep connection. And that is a life worth living. Living alone without a boyfriend isn't a waiting period. It's not a phase to rush through or a problem to fix. It's an opportunity to build a life on your own terms, to discover who you are, and to develop into a person who is whole, strong, and undeniably capable. Society may tell you that a woman needs a relationship to be complete, but that's not the truth. The truth is that a woman who learns to live fully on her own sets herself up for a future of unshakable confidence, financial freedom, and emotional resilience. And when she does choose to let someone in, it's not out of need, it's out of genuine love and compatibility. So, to the woman living alone, own it, thrive in it, and know that you are enough exactly as you are.